We are the hub for news, results, and CEO interviews focusing the junior commodities sector. We provide market analysis and perspective that will help position you for solid returns.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Stock Talk. Today we're catching up with Alistair Waddell, who's the President, CEO, and Director over at Inflection Resources. This is a wonderful story out of Australia that we chatted with you a couple of months back, and you've had quite a bit of updates, but one very spectacular news piece that we wanted to go over and just kind of highlight the key parts in that, because there's a lot to this partnership you've got, but also just remind people what you're trying to achieve overall in the thesis with Inflection. So how are you doing, Alistair? It's great to catch up with you again.
Yeah, very well, thanks. Thanks for having me back on and giving me the opportunity to chat about Inflection again. Yeah,
absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, maybe just sort of set the scene a little bit, in terms of what we're trying to achieve here. We're obviously Canadian listed, US listed exploration company focused on the discovery of very large copper gold deposits in Eastern Australia, specifically in northern New South Wales. And to cut a long story short, we're exploring a big belt of rocks called the Macquarie Arc that's host to some of Australia's biggest mines. The big one in the belt is Cadia. This is Newcrest Mining's flagship operation. This is produces over 1 million ounces of gold per year, plus a lot of copper. And then we have Evolution Mining's their flagship operation. That's their Cowal deposit. And then the third big one is a big copper mine called North Parkes, which is owned by a Chinese group in a JV with Sumitomo. And bottom line is this big belt of rocks is sort of a north trending belt of rocks, disappears to the north under a blanket of transported what we call post mineral cover. So this is unmineralized sediments masking the underlying prospective geology. And when we set this company up at the beginning of 2018, we went about and we acquired the whole northern extension of this belt that was essentially free of exploration licenses or claims at that time. And over the last couple of years or so, we've been systematically exploring that northern extension of the belt, and we've developed a whole pile of big targets. And this is a key takeaway, Andrew, is the scale of the targets we're looking for. We're looking for very large porphyry deposits. So these are very big targets that have never been drilled before. And that's another important point. We're testing something very large and something very new that's never been drilled. And we're doing it, 2 or 3 hours up the highway from one of Australia's biggest mines here. So that's the exciting thing, testing new things that have never been drilled before in a fabulous mining friendly jurisdiction.
I think not for me to sound too promotional, but when you say you're going for large targets at this, I remember we spoke before, this isn't finding economic grade mining that, I wonder if we can make this work. You guys are looking for like monster size. And it's good to put that in perspective and context too, because when we get into this partnership, that is the stories that people are often attracted to, is that, listen, if we're going to go find something, let's go treasure hunting, let's go for something big. And this is what you guys are after with this district scale play.
Completely, yeah. I mean, we set the company up with that specifically in mind. I mean, it was really, what do the major mining companies want and where do they want it? And it was really very large copper gold assets, typically porphyries. These are long life mines that ultimately produce, good cash flow, hopefully over the years. Mining friendly jurisdictions. We're doing this in Australia. It was, we're not going too far off the grid in terms of jurisdictional risk. I mean, it's really a great place to operate. And critically, as I mentioned, big targets that have never been drilled before. We made a very conscious decision not to drill old prospects that have been drilled many times before. And that's, from an exploration geologist perspective like myself, I mean, that's the exciting thing. Every hole we're drilling through this blanket of sediments is testing something very large and new that's never been touched with a drill before. So that's really the exciting thing. Every single hole, we just don't know exactly what we're going to hit.
And I'm glad you brought that up too, because you guys are like very technically driven. I mean, the company is very heavy on the technical capabilities and kind of brought up that way. So that also lends a lot of comfort to people when they see, you know, the level of expertise and technical precision that you put together on the team, which once again is leading up to this kind of announcement, which is out now the last couple of days, but I'll let you take over from that. But I'll just say this: in order to attract, you know, companies of this kind of caliber, you have to share information, have long discussions with them, and they don't just jump into anything willy-nilly. That must feel great to give some, you know, a lift to the thesis. But I'll just kind of step back from now and let you tell us what's happened here.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've always set the company up with a mind of, as I say, attracting a major mining company. Ultimately, you know, we're looking for big porphyries. This is really the domain of a major mining company. And, you know, junior explorers, I mean, okay, we're great at finding these things, but ultimately, it's a massively expensive endeavor to drill these things up. So, as you mentioned, we recently signed a large-scale agreement with AngloGold Ashanti. And this is a real milestone agreement for the company. We've worked towards this for a long time. We know we've had an open data room and been speaking to Anglo for a long time to get this done. But the bottom line is it's a sort of a multi-stage agreement. The stage one is testing a whole series of holes, targets over our entire portfolio. And this is a $10 million phase one program. It's going to comprise of in excess of 80 drill holes, and these will be spread around. We'd like to have 2 drill rigs here. One will be focused on some targets, including one called Duck Creek, that's already returned some encouraging results. But another rig will be systematically exploring a large portfolio of targets we've developed as well. So it's the phase one program. It's going to be a big program. It's in excess of 30,000 meters of drilling. It's probably going to take about 1.5 years, which translates to a lot of holes and a lot of news flow. And at the end of that phase one, after the $10 million has been incurred, AngloGold retains the right to designate 5 individual projects, of which they can then earn up to 75% interest in each of those individual projects. And to get there, it's a sort of stage 2. They have to spend 7 million Australian dollars on each project to get to 51%. And then to get to 65%, they have to spend another 20 million Australian dollars on each target to get to 65. And then the real kicker to get to 75 is they're required to deliver a pre-feasibility study on each project, which includes a minimum 2 million ounce gold or gold copper equivalent resource. This is a measured and indicated resource as well. So that's a fairly hefty milestone, and there'll be a very significant amount of drilling and capital required to get to that point, and all sorts of studies that sort of you know, demonstrate hopefully preliminary economics of the project. And then the little twist as well is once they deliver the pre-feasibility study, AngloGold is required to cede back to Inflection either 2 or 1% NSR as well, a royalty at that point. So that also provides quite a lot of optionality on how we proceed from that 75-25% scenario as well. So it's a big deal, but the real key takeaway here, Andrew, is this phase one is really just going to allow us to drill lots and lots of holes into lots of very interesting targets, more than we would be able to do ourselves, you know, given capital constraints and the nature of the market right now. So that's the best bit. You know, we're not going to be worrying about every single hole or every single meter before, and that's how we were a little bit previously. Where, you know, do we drill one hole here or one hole there? Well, now we'll just drill the 2 holes and not overthink that issue. So that's the best bit. Just lots and lots of drilling. And we're just going to be very busy and have lots of news as a result of that.
It must feel great because, like you said, I mean, getting deals done is difficult, especially when you've got a lot of targets that they're interested in as well, and then trying to phase them over periods of time. It must be exhausting to get it done, but it's also at the same time so rewarding when you know you've got such a big milestone kind of completed, and have that much wiggle room to play around with. And, in a great jurisdiction, infrastructure is there, just start drilling and you've got loads of targets. That, especially in a challenging market, to say the least, that must be quite a nice feeling.
Absolutely. No, it's really, I certainly sleep a lot better now having this deal in place. It's, as I say, just having the ability to drill and without worrying about every single hole is really the best part of this. And as we know, you've got to drill lots of holes to have success in exploration. And it's tough to do if you're doing a 2,000 meter program or 3,000 meters. Having this sort of 30,000 meter plus program really is just going to accelerate the whole story, no end.
For some of our subscribers who are not as familiar with mining, having a partner like that, it adds so much. Not only just because you can talk with their team as well, and they like the thesis, they agree with it, they're excited on that kind of scale. For a generalist investor, they look and go, oh, okay, so someone else has come into your data room, talked with you on a very detailed level for a long period of time, and there's significant big mining company who also are like, we like what we see. So, for a lot of people that watch my show, they often ask, well, how do I know if something's good or not? So this would be a pretty good indicator that you've convinced other very smart people that you like what's happening and what you're seeing.
Yeah, no, that's a hugely important point. I mean, these major mining companies, I'm just speaking generally here right now. Most of the Inflection team has come from the major mining companies as well. They do a tremendous amount of diligence on these sort of agreements, and they're typically things that don't just happen very quickly, and there'll be multiple site visits. They'll look into every aspect of the company and the property and the title and the royalties and you name it. So these things, they do a lot of diligence, and we view it very much as sort of a validation of the strategy and the team and everything else. But specifically regarding Inflection, it's we view it very much as a partnership with AngloGold. We've got an excellent relationship with the team there, and it's far more than just them providing capital to drill holes. There's a lot of technical overlap as well. For example, we have access to their geophysicists, their geochemists, their community people. It just goes on and on and on. So, it's very much sort of a win-win relationship. AngloGold gets to deploy capital immediately into drilling holes and testing big targets, which, if you're coming from the major mining company, is key. There's not that sort of 2, 3, 4 year lead time to develop targets, so they get to piggyback in on what we've been doing over the last few years, and we also get to piggyback in on their expertise. They've got experts in house and as well as the capital. So it's sort of a win-win scenario for both parties, we believe.
Well, it's just great. It's wonderful news, and I guess you get maybe an afternoon off to aside to enjoy yourself, and then think, okay, well, what's next? So, and I guess what someone else might ask, what should I be looking for next? Like you're obviously going out there pretty quick to you've got some targets picked already. What should someone be looking for in the news? Because as you said, there's going to be lots of news.
Yeah, no, this is a question we get quite a lot, as you can imagine. So really, we've just inked the deal. We're going to mobilize the drills here, imminently. We're just get ourselves organized to get that going. But yeah, the plan here is to have 2 drills initially. One will be focused, as I mentioned, on this target called Duck Creek. This is a target that returned a lot of favorable alteration that you would typically see in proximity to some of these alkalic copper gold porphyry systems that we're specifically targeting. Now, we drilled 3 holes into this specific target there the year before last now, and it got everybody excited. But what we didn't do, we didn't drill that boom of a hole right into a sort of a porphyry with a lot of copper and gold, but we got a lot of smoke and a lot of encouragement that we're in the right environment. And we've done a lot of studies of the known deposits, both in New South Wales and elsewhere, including British Columbia. These alkalic copper gold systems, they've got very unique characteristics in terms of their alteration halos. So these intrusive bodies are broadly sort of tube-like, and they have in a very simplistic manner sort of concentric zones of alteration around them, and we can get a sense of where we are relative to where we need to be. So we got a lot of encouragement with these 3 shallow holes. So one rig will be targeting this Duck Creek area specifically, both the area where we got the favorable alteration and other targets in the vicinity. And a second rig will be hitting all the other targets in the portfolio as well. So it's going to be a little bit of a systematic program. We're going to be marching our way through these targets, not necessarily in the most logical order. They are spread out over about 300 kilometers, so we are dealing with a little bit of logistics as well. But yes, it's going to be a steady stream of news from that, and we'll be putting news out on a regular basis as the results come in. But those are the main catalysts. It's really going to be very much drill results driven from this point onwards, but it's going to go on for a long time.
And congratulations. That's such a great position to be in, and a great partner. And there's lots to earn in and farm in together with them. And hey, we'll be watching to check out the results. And congratulations again, Alistair. We're really excited to see what happens moving forward here.
No, thank you. Yeah, we're thrilled. And as I say, it just puts a whole breath of fresh air into the story and the company. And as I say, not worrying about every hole is a big deal.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much, Alistair. Enjoy the rest of the day, and look forward to any news coming out and catching up with you again soon.
Very good. Well, thanks again, and appreciate you having us on here.
Of course.